My napkin fell off. There it goes again.
A flash.
Can he clean a dirty mirror?
He'll make it bright and clear. Clean under the sun is Tide Clean.
Welcome to Mind's Eye Theater, where you help bring the story to life. I'm your host, the unseen storyteller. Fear. It grows like a fungus on the rotting logs of doubt and uncertainty in the forest of our mind. Fear, taking its nourishment from the decay of personal faith and trust. Only in the darkness of spiritual blindness can it thrive and spread. And spread it does until it covers the heart and blights the mind with a paralyzing toxin. Sometimes the fungus of fear is spread by the enemy of our souls, and other times it merely grows on its own as we allow the light of the Word to fade from our lives. This is one such story. Sit back and picture the events in your mind as I paint the verbal portrait. You might even begin to see it happening in your mind's eye. Tonight's tale is entitled, A Midnight Dreary. It was a rainy autumn evening in the quiet little community of Tarrytown, New York, as our main character unlocked the door to his home after a quick trip to the store. But the threatening thunderstorm outside was only an echo of the gathering storm in his life, which was about to break out in a torrential downpour of terror. Derek Crane was a young fourth-grade teacher in Tarrytown Elementary School, as well as a Sunday school teacher at his church. Yes, Derek was a believer in Jesus and had a good influence on both the children he taught and the people around him. His imagination was an asset to him as he used it to help the children learn both the school lessons and Bible stories. But sometimes his imagination was a liability, and it often ran away with him. Now, you should know that our man Derek Crane was descended from a long line of school teachers named Crane, the most famous of which was Ichabod Crane, whose story was told by Washington Irving. Proud of his heritage and family name, Derek, in fact, often used the story to introduce his students to the joys of classic literature, as well as local history. As Derek unpacked the bag of goodies, he was preparing for a nice, relaxing Saturday evening of reading, snacking, and TV, while his wife was away visiting her ailing mother. From here on out, we'll let Derek himself tell you what happened on A Midnight Dreary.
Just as I was about to dig into the smorgasbord of junk food and TV shows, the phone rang. On the line was my wife, Iris. "Hi, honey, how was your trip?" I asked. She told me it was fine and that her mother was doing better, but would need her for a few more days. I told her about going to the store, but then I reassured her I was eating healthy while she was away. I told her about the big storm that was coming to the area and how I planned on spending the evening preparing for my Sunday school lesson. After I told her how I missed her and that I'd be praying for her mother to get well soon, we closed the conversation by telling each other how much we loved one another. Not one to be a slave to strict literal interpretations of the English language or even definitions of normality, I expressed my affection to the snack foods, even as I internally defended my choice of words to the wife. "You're not junk food, are you?" "No, you're not. No, look at your ingredients. Why, you have cornmeal, and you have potato flakes, and oh my, look at this, peanut oil. Yes, you look healthy to me. You're probably healthier than I am, after all. I'm the one talking to you inanimate objects. I'll get back to you later. I've got to study my lesson for a while." Knowing that I really did need to study to prepare for my lesson for the kids tomorrow, I set aside the snacks that were calling to me and the TV guide that promised entertainment. I picked up my Bible and planned on devoting the next hour or so to disciplined study. I was wanting to teach the kids about the prophet Elijah and how he had been afraid of Jezebel, as well as other scriptures about dealing with fear. But a soft sofa isn't the best place to study when you're tired. And before I knew it, my battle with the Sandman ended in defeat. As I snoozed soundly over the next few hours, the predicted storm front moved in, and the winds began to howl outside. It was nearly midnight when my sleep was finally interrupted by what sounded to me like the crack of doom. And before I knew it, the entire evening had gotten away from me. And now that I was awake, there was little chance of actually going back to bed anytime soon. As I dug into the snacks, I rationalized to myself, too late to study now. I think I've got a pretty good handle on the topic of fighting fear anyway. And since snack foods are made more for light entertainment than serious study, the only thing I could do was scan the TV for something good to watch.
Gracious, now I'm seeing things.
Oh, no. I'm Manners the butler.
Raid hunts them down like radar.
Procter & Gamble's new all-purpose liquid cleaner.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Well, alone in the house at a few minutes till 12 on a stormy night, the last thing I needed was a movie that would put my nerves on edge. And there was no way I could go back to sleep after that. So, hoping for a little relaxing music, I turned on the radio and leaned back to enjoy the soothing sounds of instrumental music on my favorite station.
It was a grim day in history. The horror was unforgettable, but so was the courage. Coming up, one man remembers how a massacre changed so many lives forever. But first, we have the weather.
In the weather forecast for the vicinity of Sleepy Hollow and Tarrytown, there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 2 a.m. This may be accompanied by dangerous lightning and high winds, so please be prepared for temporary power outages, and you are advised to stay indoors. In other news, the Sheriff's Department has informed us of the escape earlier tonight of the notorious mass murderer Horace the Breather Morris. Morris earned the nickname The Breather because of an asthma condition and heavy breathing, which enabled a surviving strangulation victim to identify him. Morris is characterized as paranoid schizophrenic, psychotic, and is extremely dangerous. You're advised to lock your doors and windows and do not venture outside for any reason. Report any sightings or suspicious sounds immediately to the Sheriff's Department. This is Wally Wigwacker, WWWW News. Have a good night.
Yeah, like that's gonna happen now.
Good evening. I'm your host, Dr. Terrell. Tonight's breathtaking tale is called Attack of the Giant Chicken Loves. From out of the night they came. Giant, mutated, ever-growing chicken love. Breathing in and out with a hideous sound. Slithering down the street, inhaling unsuspecting victims. The lungs continued their rampage.
Well, this was becoming just too much for me. The genes of my ancestor Ichabod were manifested strongly in his descendant, and right now they were in an uproar. Hastily knocking the radio off the station and searching for the off switch, I felt a little bit better. Until... Realizing that the sounds weren't coming from the radio, I tried to track down the source of the noise. It wasn't coming from the bedroom. And as far as I could tell, not from the kitchen either. No, it seemed stronger over by the front door. Oh, maybe it's just the wind, I thought. Wishful thinking. I'll admit it, I was panicking as I realized the sounds were on my doorstep. What to do? I screamed in my mind. What do I do? Then it occurred to me to do what the radio alert had told me. Call the police. Yes! I quickly dialed the emergency number and told the operator, "Hello, 911? This is an emergency. The breather's outside my window." I am calm. My name is Derek Crane. Yes, I'm sure it's him. He sounded like this. Send the police, quick. I'm at 638. Hello? Hello, are you there? Hello? My blood chilled a few degrees as I realized the phone had went dead. Like I'm gonna be, I thought. Before I realized what I was saying, I called out, "Go away, there's nobody here." I chastised myself for my stupidity. "Oh, you idiot," I thought. Not only does he know you're here now, he also knows you're stupid. Well, I muttered, there's nothing left to do but answer it. So cautiously, ever so cautiously, to the door I crept. As the knocking echoed insistently throughout the house again. Throwing open the door and jumping back, I peered out into the darkness and rain, and I saw nothing. Well, that's weird, I thought. There's nobody out here. And I was right. There was no body out there. But suddenly, there was somebody. Panic gripping my heart, I desperately began to pile up items to reinforce the door. All the while, fearful thoughts whirling in my mind like debris picked up by a tornado. Gotta find something else. Oh Lord, I'm gonna die. Jesus, you said you'd be a very present help in time of trouble. Where's your help when I need it? At that moment, my gaze fell on the Bible where I had abandoned it earlier. I guess it's right where I left it. Pushed aside for junk food. Mom always told me when I was afraid to read your word out loud. I'd say this is a good time. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. My mind wasn't exactly stayed on you tonight, Lord. Here's another. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. Torment is right. I can see now how far short I've been falling. Wow, look at this. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of a good report, if there be any virtue, think on these things. Oh, Lord, I'm sorry I forgot the things you said. I guess I was too busy filling my mind and my heart with junk food too, and I started to be filled with fear because of that. But I'm not afraid anymore. Thank you for your peace and love, and for showing me that I was trying to teach others a lesson I hadn't learned yet. I can't believe I was such a big chicken. And what was I afraid of? A guy with bad lungs? A ghost? Yeah, a ghost. Ooh. Boy, this is really scary, huh? Ooh. Let's go haunt the house, Casper. While I mocked myself by running around in a sheet, unbeknownst to me at the time, a drenched figure had opened the now unlocked door. Gingerly, he looked around and called out, "Hello? Can I come in? I'm sorry if I startled you before, but I've had a blowout. My spare is flat. Can I use your phone?" Stunned to see the body on the floor, I hurriedly knelt to check it out. My first thought was that it's the breather. He looked dead, but I'd seen too many movies and knew you couldn't be sure with these psycho mass murderers. So picking up the tire iron, I considered making sure. I just can't do it. After all, Jesus said we were to love our enemy. Hey, he's breathing. Of course he's breathing. He's the breather. But the news said he breathes real loud. I can hardly hear this guy. Going against my instincts and fear and acting on faith, I reached forth my hand and tried to wake him. "Can you hear me?" I asked. "Are you all right?" Don't try anything now." Sitting up carefully, the stranger squinted at me and asked me who I was. I told him my name and that I lived there. "Who are you?" I asked, "and why are you here lying on my floor?" Shakily, he answered, "A ghost. I saw a ghost." That was no ghost, I explained. It was just me in a sheet. "Sorry I scared you." As I helped him to his feet rather unsteadily, he retorted, "You? You always run around in a sheet scaring people?" I shot back defensively with, "You always attack people in the door with a tire iron?" "Hey, I had a flat tire," he said, "and I ran through the rain what seemed like a mile. Then when you answered the door, you grabbed me and shoved me off the porch. All I wanted was to use your phone to call a tow truck. I tried the next house, but no one was home, so I had no choice but to come back and try again. First you almost beat me up, then you try to scare me to death. What are you, some kind of macho man with something to prove?" Well, at that, I started to smile. If only he knew how wrong he was. "So," he asked, "you going to make fun of me now? It's no fun being scared." "No," I told him. "I'm laughing at myself." "Listen, it's a long story. Let's get you into some dry clothes and I'll tell you all about it over a cup of hot chocolate." That perked him up, and I got a smile out of him as he said he really could go for some of that about now because he was cold and his nerves were shot. As I stuck out my hand to shake, I told him my name was Derek. His, he told me, was Ernie, and he was concerned about his car. I told him it was too late to call anyone, so I invited him to stay the night and take care of it in the morning. He didn't want to impose, but I let him know it was the least I could do after what I had put him through. The truth is, with my wife out of town, I'd welcome the company. He gladly accepted, and as I showed him toward the guest room, he noticed my Bible from where I'd left it open. Wondering if I was a Christian, I happily told him that I was. It turned out he was a believer too. He'd been only saved a few months ago. "I really don't have any Christian friends to talk to, though," he said. I clapped him on the shoulder and said, "Well, hey, you do now."
And so, Derek Crane learned that our imagined fears and realities are often two very different things, and that when circumstances seem frightening, the best solution is to turn to God's Word for comfort and encouragement. Faith and fear are mutually exclusive, and which you choose to believe and act on determine the reactions to situations out of your control. Remember 2 Corinthians 10:5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. That's our program this week. I'm your host, the Unseen Storyteller, inviting you to tune in again next time to Mind's Eye Theater, where you help bring the story to life.